Okay, so how do we get the data out of that readable stream? Well, we need to call the .json function on it, or .json, depending on how you want to say that. I've heard so many arguments about how to say that. But here, in my async await, because it is an asynchronous function, we need to use the keyword await again. So we could say let JSON data equal await response dot JSON. And then we could console.log the JSON data. Down here, what we'd need to do is we would need to, instead of console.logging our result, we would need to do res.json. And then we can chain on another then. So it says, wait for this to finish, then do this, wait for that to finish, and then take the result of that and console.log the result. So if I save this, we're going to get the same thing twice. And so you can see that we get our slip object, which has an ID, and it says, don't try and bump start a motorcycle on an icy road. I have no idea what that means. I'm not a motorcyclist, but there you go. There's that piece of advice. Um, and you can see that both objects came back exactly as we would expect. Now, I do have to give you a caveat here if you prefer this method of chaining thens together. Remember that if you write a lambda function, or the arrow function, as some people like to call it, if you write it all on one line, this part is returned by default. But if you don't write it all on one line, let's say you put some curly braces around this, then you have to use the return keyword. So I'm going to format my code. So let's say you wrote your code like this. So you fetch, and then inside of your then you do your res.json. If we do that and we come over, we can see that the first code, the async await code, still works and we get our object printed out. But here it prints out undefined. And why is that? Well, because this then was taking the result of this then's return. And this then didn't, boy, that's a tongue twister right there. This didn't return anything. So because it didn't return anything, we tried to take in the result of what it returned and log it, but it didn't return anything. So if you want to write it on multiple lines, then you need to type return res.json. And then you will go back to having your code work as expected. Just wanted to give you that caveat. If you broke it onto multiple lines, you will need to use the return keyword.